Hey, what's up folks? Gabe Montgomery here, 10 Horse Money YouTube channel. Apologize for that last Lake of the Ozarks BFL tournament video being so long, but we just had a lot of footage. Tried to cram it all in there. If you haven't watched it, I'll leave a little link to it right here. And I wanted to get back with you and let you know how the tournament went. I kind of left you hanging because, man, the video was just way too long already. So I didn't want to add anything else on it. I thought I'd just do a little recap video and give you an update. I ended up finishing 55th. I had that one keeper, I think it weighed like 2 pounds, 2 ounces, which, by the way, I was very happy to have that keeper. I didn't catch it until about 50 minutes left in the tournament. And we still had a little bit of run, so probably only had about 30 minutes of fishing time when I caught that fish. My boater wasn't able to put a keeper in the boat. So it was a fun day of catching fish. We just didn't catch the right size fish all day, but still had a great time. Mike was fortunate enough to squeak into the last spot after the first day. He was in 23rd and they took top 23 boats, and he got to fish day 2. He ended up finishing 17th in the tournament. He broke a few fish off, could have definitely jumped way up on the standings, but that's kind of how it goes. That's just fishing. You know, you skip your jig in those docks, and when you hook up with them, you worry about how to get them out later, and sometimes it doesn't work. It's just part of it. But if you don't throw it up in there, you're definitely not going to get bit on that. So we did a little recap on the way home traveling, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that on the back side of this. And shout out to Greg. He's the guy that's nice enough to let us stay down at Lake of the Ozarks. He has a house at the 26-mile marker in that area on the Osage River, and he lets us stay, and we really appreciate that, Greg. You're an awesome host, and really appreciate the hospitality. So I got a few little short clips. Me and Greg went out the Sunday that Mike was fishing. Greg fished the tournament as well, and he didn't do any good, so we were waiting for Mike to get done with the tournament. So me and Greg just went out and fished for a few hours in the morning. So I got a few little clips I'll put in there, and on the back side of that I'll put the recap and kind of we're on the trip home from the lake, me and Mike, and we talk about our thoughts. So appreciate it. Please support the channel by subscribing, and here we go. Some peanut butter and jelly, just a little finesse jig. Is that what you're throwing? I've been getting a lot of bites on a worm too here, like a 10-inch worm. Nothing, huh? Go. Ah, it came off. Little baby, probably. See you? Nice. Oh! Short lined him. There we go. So I'm gonna jig around these docks. Not too big, but okay. Just fishing this little Cumberland Pro 1/2 ounce finesse football jig with a Zoom mid-size speed crawl. All right, folks, told you I'd bring the recap as far as Mike's day. He had a pretty solid day. I think he ended up in 19th place, and he had a little over, he had about 12
I had
pounds.
9 pounds, but that was with the penalty of all 3 of my fish were dead. I have no idea what happened. None of them were hooked funky or no long rough boat rides. I had ice on them, water on them, recirculating G juice oxygenators. I don't know, me and Gabe are theory. If anybody out there watching this has a theory, put it in the comments section, because I'd like to know. I ask about everybody. I got answers from, well, it happens. Well, it's never happened to me before, and I used to have a little bitty dinky live wells in the old Ranger, and I never lost a fish. So, not sure what happened there, but so I only had 9 pounds with the penalty. So I had the bites today. Physically seen 3 fish that were solid 4 to 5 pound fish that I seen that broke me off on docks, super shallow. My partner was, so we were both in 23rd, the last spot in. My co-angler, I got around, like I said, I was around the right fish today for sure. Caught lots of fish, and he went from 23rd to 1st and won the co-angler side. So shout out to Terry. But yeah, around all the right fish for sure, absolutely. I wouldn't have won. I don't think I'd have caught the leader at all, but I mean, I'd have had a solid 20 to 21, maybe even 22 pound bag if I put those fish in the boat. I would have culled my smallest one. But then, in hindsight, what if one of those fish, I mean, would have killed them all? I'd have been devastated.
Yeah.
So, not only because I, lost the position in the tournament, just because I don't like killing fish. It's just not cool. Or else you're going to put a knife to them. The guy assured me that they are going to eat them, which is good news.
That is good news. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all in all, good day. Caught lots of fish. Caught lots of big fish. Not near as many boats out. It was still kind of rough, but it wasn't bad. But I never left the glaze, so I didn't go far. I didn't burn much gas. Terry had to force me to take $20. I'm like, we're going to burn $2 worth of gas, maybe. But he's a super cool guy. So happy for him to get the win, come from behind. I got a decent check. I don't know, like $450 or something. So covered all my costs for the weekend.
So all in all, it was a great weekend.
It was. And
great
the fishing
outcome.
was getting better. Like right now, Gabe? It's dropped 25 degrees and it's super windy and the storm moved in. So I think that had something to do with probably the bite coming on.
Yeah.
It's getting ready to pop at Lake of the Ozarks. So the Big Bash is next week. And it's hitting at the right time for sure for that. And then, well, I say that. I feel sorry for the Toyota Series guys that are the weekend after that. So BFL beats up on it, and then it's going to be the Big Bass Bash. And if they're biting like fall pattern, they're going to soar mouth a lot of fish with that many boats on the water.
Yeah.
And those poor Toyota Series guys got to come in there the week after that. Most of those guys practice all week, so those fish are going to be worked over pretty good.
And you had fish early, didn't you?
I had all 3 of mine, and Jerry had 2, his 5+ pounder and 3 pounder. We had all those by 7:45 this morning. We were last boat out at 7. We took off a little before 7. I think they let us go a little early, but still we were the last boat out. We had those quickly. I had the first keeper in 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes.
Your fish were caught shallow, right, for the most part?
Yeah, they were all in less than 5 feet of water.
Cool.
I caught some out deeper, but they weren't keepers. All the big ones were up. And where we were at the day before, did you go in there with me? No, we didn't go in there with you.
No.
But the day one guy went in there, and we went in the afternoon, and I seen the giant gizzard shad. I mean, 4 to 6, 7, 8 inches. And they were all up in these shallow rocks and stuff swimming around. And at Lake of the Ozarks, if you see that, put your trolling motor down and get to work, because there's bass somewhere, and they're more likely going to be big ones. So back in that little area where that gizzard is where I lost those big fish. And I caught a 4.5 pounder, and Terry caught a 5 pounder and a 3 pounder, all within the first hour. So I made the right decision going there first.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of, and it helped only having 23 boats this morning. So I didn't really I seen some competitors. I seen Marcus Sikora and Corey Steckler who got second. I seen them a couple times throughout the day, but not trying, not on anything I want. They were just running by when I was already fishing. Maybe I was on something they wanted to fish. I don't know. I don't think Marcus never even seen me. I was back behind a dock, but I seen him. His big, beautiful self go rolling by. And somebody loaned him a Triton. He had some issues with his boat, so it's nice to be nice to have friends with boats.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, it was great, man. Kind of, I fished that solo thing for so long. I didn't like the BFL, just the whole stress of getting a different guy and a co-angler and all that. But man, so far so good. Both of my partners this weekend were really, really cool and really good guys. Super respectful. So, you can't ask for better. I'm sure there was guys that had the opposite experience, but so far so good with me with the BFLs, getting back into the BFLs. All the coaches have been really cool. Terry lived down at the lake, so he was fairly knowledgeable. Although I found it odd that I don't think he'd fished any of the areas that we were fishing, but it's a giant lake, so and everybody does their things different. So that's what's cool about that place. You know,
so he learned some area. He learned some new areas.
He learned some good areas. I'm willing to bet Terry's going to be back where we were.
Good deal.
After he's seen what got caught there, and what would have been possible to catch there. Like I find it executed. Nothing that I did was really out of the ordinary. It's just dock fishing, man. The one time I told Gabe I didn't have my boat, I shouldn't have made that pitch until I got my boat farther up, because I knew if I hooked one I was going to have issues. So be smart, raise your trolling motor if you're getting back shallow like that, get your boat in position, maybe even set your talons or whatever power poles if you got them down first, and then make that cast. I would have been a lot more prepared, because my boat was in a spot where it could hit a seawall or hit a dock, and you know, I was trying to fight a 5-pound fish, and I could see him. It was shallow enough I could see him. There was no doubt how big he was. And yeah, so that's a little tip. That was the one mistake. The other ones under docks, you know, they run underneath one of those lifts and catch a bolt or a corner or a sharp edge, and it's game over, especially if they got some heft to them. So that's why when you get them, you got to get them. You got to, that is maybe the time to do the Ike and Ellie where you run to the back of the boat, try to just take up some line as fast as you can and get them out of there. But Ike, if you're watching, you don't need to do that in open water, I don't think.
Yeah, Ike watches my channel.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I'm sure he does. Anyway, let Gabe take back over, but I appreciate, man, Gabe doing all this filming. It's really been cool. And hopefully I learned from the 10 horse and get my stuff set up. He's going to try to get me schooled up on how to do this. So I would have liked to have some of those horrible fish break-offs. I promise you there would have been some bleeping. We'd have had to do some bleeping probably.
Bleeping. I can do bleeping, man. I like emotion.
Yeah.
Emotion.
Hey, even if I don't, you know, what's that thing that like Jimmy Kimmel does or something where it's unnecessary cuss, where they like add cuss, where they bleep, unnecessary bleeping, they bleep where it's not, so it sounds like they're cussing.
Create some drama.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Right. Enthusiasm.
I didn't let it spin me out, but...
so you wouldn't have done anything different?
Other than the time when I didn't move my boat up. That was bonehead. That was, you know, that was dumb.
Yeah.
Because I knew there's, I mean, I wouldn't have crept and got my boat back in there if I didn't think there's a good chance. I've cashed, I know two big bass checks, not big bass bash, but big bass checks in a tournament by getting my boat back behind a dock, setting the talons or power poles down, retying the knot, re-dyeing the thing, letting everything settle down before you make that pitch or that skip into a highly productive area where you've caught them before. And I just didn't do it this time. I was lazy, or whatever you want to call it. It was dumb, for sure. And I would say probably lazy, because
yeah, well, you're getting a
you're trying to save time, but you're not saving time by having the story to tell you about how you broke off a big one, you know. So
that's right.
If you're going to be in that situation, you know, I'm not saying you have to set your talons down every time you make a cast, but
well, you work so hard to get that big bite. You want to be prepared and have everything.
And I worked to get my boat in that position to even make that cast possible.
That's right.
If I were to show you with this, you know, drew a picture or something, I'm not going to show you where it was, but if I drew you a picture of the situation, you'd understand what I'm talking about. I mean, I seen that fish just run and caught the edge of the dock, you know, right into like a, you know, like a splinter or whatever, went right into that dried wood and just started sawing on it, and I knew it was just a matter of time, and then pow!
Yep, you can't just rip those big fish out like you can smaller fish. You kind of take control for a while.
And with as hot as these fish were, like with the water temperature, man, I had a couple fool me today that I thought were big, that were like 14.5 inches.
Yeah.
So they can pull this time of year. They're strong, and their bellies are full, so they're eating good. Water's warm. It's a bad combination. So other than that, I wouldn't have done. I mean, maybe set the hook. I mean, none of them really came off because of hook. It was, you know, getting broken. So
right.
And just cables and whatever.
You had good line. It's just the way it happens sometimes. That's just fishing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm using some 20-pound flipping fluorocarbon from Sunline. So yeah. I mean, it's not like I was using, and it was fresh. I mean, I just put it on there. So. And I'm really, you know, picky about feeling. You see me do it all the time. I always, Lake of the Ozarks, I always feel my line. Any little question, I just strip it off a little bit.
Yeah, you
off
fill up
every
a
time.
trash can with taglines, you know, by the end of the day.
Yeah, plus I tie that what's that knot? A double
San Diego jam knot, yeah,
so
strong knot.
You strong knot, and you get rid of a lot of that. I mean,
right.
You always say you waste a lot. I agree you do, but you're also getting rid of a good portion of that line close to the hook.
Right,
every time.
Line.
So, yeah, it is what it is, man. I'm happy that I got a check, and we had a good time, and didn't really break much more than my windshield. Didn't even lose many jigs this weekend. So
it was a rough sucker out there.
Yeah,
yesterday.
you got to put some of that footage up.
I will, man. It was really, really rough. All right, guys, that is a wrap. We're gonna focus on the road here. We're starting to get into some traffic as we get closer to St. Louis. So appreciate you guys coming along on this little adventure. Like I always say, subscribe to the channel if you have not, and share it. That's how the channel grows. Please share this video. If you like the content, hit that like button, and hit the little bell notification, so every time I drop a content, you'll be the first to know. That's all we got for you. It was a great weekend, and look forward to the next trip. Until next time.